The Skip Barber 2K World Cup lights up its engines and gets ready for its 10th season here on iRacing, and the 8th season that we've brought to you here on RaceSpotTV and on iRacing Live. Sunday nights are nothing without the Skip Barber 2K World Cup, so even though we've had a fantastic weekend's worth of racing already, settle down for the last 40 minutes that you need to see this weekend. It's going to be at Road Atlanta coming up after these messages.
Watch Ernie, go, go, go. Car right, car right, car right, car right. Watch him, watch him, watch him, watch him. Damn it! Get ready. Dude, more heads up than that. Jeez.
Right on the back wing. Can he make it happen?
Yes! Yes! Push like hell. We gotta stay in front of these guys.
Both drivers on the push to pass. Contact in the pit lane.
All right, sexy. Let that eagle fly. What do I do? What happened? Push here. Push hard. Let's go get this guy. Car outside. We're behind you. Control. Clear outside. Good job. Just spun behind you. I don't know if you got him or not.
He got out of it so hard. Look at these guys are all over the back.
Full throttle.
IndyCar. The in and out lap. What's next?
Come and get the checkers, big boy. Oh, baby, that was good. He hit me. Inside, inside, outside, inside, outside.
2017 Verizon IndyCar Series. See what's next.
Ever since it was first started back in 2014, the Skip Barber 2K World Cup has been on a mission to do one thing and one thing only: bring together some of the best Skip Barber racers across the entirety of the iRacing service and put them into battle every other Sunday night in fast, hard-fitting action. It's worked well. As we've seen, we've had some fantastic memories over the past, well, 9 seasons, as we now enter season 10 of the 2K World Cup, and it starts here at Road Atlanta, home, of course, of the Petit Le Mans. Here today, home of 40 minutes worth of fast-paced racing once again. It's Will Vincent along with Jake Sperry. There you can see a look at the track. Road Atlanta in Braselton, Georgia, United States of America. A shade over 2.5 miles in length, and today the air temp is 80 degrees Fahrenheit with wind speeds of 11 kilometers an hour. Practice is just over, Jake, and that means it's time to head ourselves down to qualifying.
Yes, and this is going to be one of the most difficult circuits in terms of qualifying, especially due to the fact that we've got ourselves a 45-car field, all looking to get themselves on the front row of this grid with a field that is so much stronger than it has been before. Eyes turn to the one of Arian De Freitas. Let's see what he can do in his first ever defense of a title here. But of course, we do have champions past and present, even the likes of, say, Sebastian Job of Core Sim Racing, even the likes of Mr. 2K World Cup himself, of Philippe Lebert.
Yeah, indeed so. And the league generally is open to people with iRatings above 2,000, hence the reason why it's called the 2K World Cup. But I was having a look through the driver field we have today. Only 4 drivers have an iRating below 2,500, only 5 drivers below 3,000. So that means we have got a stacked field here in terms of iRating talent at the very least. And actually, it's worth noting that quite often the 2K World Cup races have higher strengths of field than what you generally see in the strength of field races on the actual official Skip Barber series.
Yes, you do, and the fact that everyone has joined together and you're seeing just how strong this event can be, it just proves to show that to everyone that one league certainly can make an entire series up in terms of what this series has done and revolutionized the way that everyone treats this series going forward. Sebastian Job will be the first driver who will be able to set a flying lap time here in this event, Will. And something that we are going to see today is a lot of drafting, especially on that run to 10A, 10B. That's going to be the prime overtaking opportunity today. And breaking that 1 second draft is going to be nigh on impossible for many drivers in this field.
But at the same time, you want to qualify well here because Sector 1, lap number 1, if there's going to be a safety car this season, we almost expect it to be in this race. We should just have a look there at Sebastian Job working himself through the S's. Yep, he's back after taking some time off. Those of you who probably last saw him in the 2K World Cup would have seen him in Apex Racing UK colours. That's all changed. He's now a member of Core Sim Racing. So we're going to keep an eye out on him then, and that number 139 car as he returns to the series. A lot of eyes are going to be on him here, Jake.
Yes, there are, and for Sebastian Job, a driver that has a lot of reputation, shall we say, of being sim racing's next big thing, it has taken him maybe 6 months to try and find his feet and realign, and the fact that he's back in the 2K World Cup trying to go back to basics, shall we say, and prepare for maybe a qualifying effort in September onwards. You're looking at Sebastian Job really trying to make his way forward and do a good job. Another driver I want to keep an eye out on is the 209 here today, Will, of Norbert Sulzer. Sulzer's taken a little bit of a break away from iRacing. I've seen him around in other areas, but coming back here into the Skip Barber where he is most successful, I'd like to see him put in a really good result today to prove his critics wrong.
Yeah, the start-finish line does come very early here, there at Road Atlanta. We'll talk about the implications of that in a moment. We should be, there we are, starting to see some lap times up on your screen. There is a little bit of a delay today, unfortunately, with our timing and scoring. You see, Job didn't actually set a lap time that first time around. Norbert Sulzer is the fastest driver so far. He then to the top of the timing stands for the moment. Brian Duell in the second place. The times just keep on ticking on and on and on. Malcolm there just moves up into screen number 10. Arjen de Freitas, first time for him. A 1 minute 35.893, 2 tenths per second behind Norbert Sulzer. Sulzer there is on another lap as he works himself now down towards the 7th. As well, for Sulzer, you were right there. First lap, very good, but we know the fastest times quite often come on this second flying lap.
Yes, they do, and trying to get those lap times in on that second flying lap, this is where the pressure tells, because you know that you need to improve, but if you are towards the front of the train, you don't know how much you need to improve to get yourself through. There is one astonishing admission actually from this opening race of the season today, Will, and that's Paul Malokas of the Positive Sim Racing team, a driver who was so close to getting his maiden title. It's a shame to see him away for this opening round.
Philippe Leber just crosses the start-finish line, goes into P number 5 for the time being. We'll go back first to Norbert Sulzer, but we want to keep half an eye out on Sebastian Job as well. There he is. He'll come past the start-finish line. What can Sebastian Job do? He goes up to pole position then from Norbert Sulzer for the time being. Sulzer immediately, though, back into P number 1. So it's all up and down, twisty, changey here as we now turn our attention over to Arjen de Freitas. Bill Fraser up into 3rd place for the time being. Kane Halliburton in P number 5. The times just keep on moving around. It's so difficult for us to keep an eye out on it here. Arjen de Freitas, as he crosses the line, where will he go? Second for the time being then. Goes faster than Job, slower than Sulzer. It's close. I do think that Job may well have one more stab of the cherry though here, Jake.
He may do here in this situation. I believe his 2 laps are up though, so he has no more opportunities to set those lap times. His day is going to be done in that form of respect, but there are drivers here on their second laps. Drivers like Philippe Leber, Benny Simonson might try and upset the party here in this situation, and maybe even Greg Seitz as well look to try and make some moves in. Leber's got the advantage here of setting his second lap. Greg Seitz, we'll see what his first lap will do as he comes under the Suzuki bridge.
Yep, Philippe Leber should just about get to the line first. There he is, currently P number 11 for the number 2 car. Crosses the start-finish line. Where does he move up to? 4th. There we are for Felipe Barber. It took us a while to get the time up, but he does move up into P number 4. Benny Simonson then is on a lap. He will still have the opportunity to get this lap in and his second flying lap. Greg Zeitz, just to let you know, did set a time. Who's moved up into P number 5. Sorry, P6 on the grid for the time being in that number 74 machine. But we now ride on board with the JCL Apex Racing UK machine as they come down into the 10s, 10A, 10B. You see, there is, and I've actually been at this track, there is an off-camber moment as you try and turn from 10A into 10B. It's not so visible when you're actually looking at this racetrack from afar, but when you ride around, you do feel it. Simonson
doesn't set a lap.
Doesn't set a lap. He's got one more stab of the cherry, though, to do so. In fact, he's the only driver now not to have set a time. We've got 44 qualified drivers here, a packed field, and because of that, we are in a situation where we've got ourselves a lot of drivers very close together. Worth noting, actually, that your top 41 drivers are within 1.8 seconds of your race leader, qualifying leader, and about the 1 second window, that is 22 drivers within 1 second of Norbert Sulzer there, Jake.
Yes, absolutely fantastic to see just how close this field is. Greg Zeitz rounds the final corner, needs a half a second if he must. He can only get himself a 10th, but it's enough to leapfrog Labert and Fraser up into position number 4. Gavin Marsden then on his final lap, who's surprisingly down in position number 21. You expect him to be a top 10 candidate here as he makes his drive for the line here, Will. And we'll see what Marsden can do. 36.2, only a 36 flat. It's P13. And row 7 is not where Marsden wants to be.
No, but you did see just how big an improvement that was there by moving up a 10th of a second here, a 10th of a second there. You move yourself quite high up in your field. That's how close things are as Amir Mushlam moves himself into P9 away from what we were looking at, but you saw it there on the live qualifying board on the left-hand side of your screen. Benny Simonson, final time for him then. Will he post the time?
Nope.
No, he doesn't. So Simonson will start this race at the rear of the field here today. That is a big story in itself, but we've had many big stories from qualifying. Let's run you through your Sunday night Skippy. Skip Barber 2K World Cup starting grid for round number 1 of season 10. And Norbert Sulzer will be the driver on pole position, 1 minute 35.325. Arjen de Freitas alongside him, front row of the grid. Sebastian Joe in 3rd place, Greg Zeitz in P number 4. 5th place, well, Felipe Barber has the honour of that one, with Bill Fraser in 6th place, Lionel Gamet in P number 7, and Kane Halliburton in the 8th spot. Just talked about him, Amir Mushlam there on his last lap, moving himself into the top 10. He's in 9th, with Stefan Stoyles in 10th, Brian Doyle and Enzo Cantar in row number 6. And then row number 7, Diego Francisco and Gavin Marsden will take up those positions. Adam Blocker rounding out your top 15. It's Justin Tipton, Andrew Picoro, Tran, Barry Arend and Ari Haro that rounds out your top 20. The remainder of this big grid coming up on your screen right now. And well, Jake, a couple of things come to mind. Very close qualifying field. Benny Simonson starting from the rear. On the field this close, I'm almost expecting that these drivers are going to be having a little bit of contact in Sector 1, lap number 1.
It is one of the most difficult sections of track in racing in general, Will, because it is so tight, it is so narrow, and there is so little margin for error. The moment you step one of those chunky Skip Barber tyres off to the left or the right-hand side, that's it, day done. And it's not even going to be the S's that's going to be the big killer, in my opinion, Will. Turn number 6 is where you're going to see most vehicles running into big issues going over that massive curb on the right-hand side on the exit, and it has the ability to spit cars off to the inside or the out.
It is, though, going to be a fantastic first round of the championship. We're going to go racing for 24 laps here today in that first round of the championship. And, well, as we said before, the races generally last about 40 to 45 minutes. Don't forget as well that a pit stop is going to be required for all of these drivers as well. You see the drivers starting to line up on your starting grid. It's a big grid here today as we talk about And that means that we are thinking there might be a little bit of elbow barging, shall we say, at the start of this motor race. But we hope to see all the drivers go through. We have had big fields, and surprisingly, they did all get through without any incidents at all. But it's a tough race here. Now, some of the drivers towards the rear of the field actually are going to pretty much be starting down on the exit of the chicane. That is how far back they are. As there's a look closer towards the front of your field. Let's see if we can very quickly get a look at a driver towards the rear. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to in time. Yeah, there we are. They're up the hill, pretty much just on the exit of 10A, 10B. But we turn our attention, though, to the front of your field, as most, if not all now, of the drivers are set, and we are getting ourselves ready to go for the first round of the championship. The 10th season, then, of the Skip Barber 2K World Cup. Who is going to win the first round of the championship? We are about to find out with 24 laps of racing here at Road Atlanta getting underway now, as the drivers will work themselves down in towards turn number 1. Already a couple of lane switches as drivers try to defend positions from others, trying to find themselves an open opportunity as they'll come down in towards turn number 1 for the first time. Number 1 machine, Arian DeFreitas, tries going around the outside into turn number 1. Not going to be able to do anything about it, though, in terms of the race lead for the moment. He does hold, though, onto second place. All the drivers working themselves through turn number 1 into turn number 2. And for the time being, we are okay, Jake.
Yes, we are okay. No real issues. Only one car going off, and that's Hatin Alatar at the back of the field collecting another vehicle. But for the time being, we are all safe. We're all clean. We're all going about our business in a nice and merry single file action. Run towards turn number 7 on circuit now. Norbert Solzer at the front of the field, followed by DeFreitas, Job, Seitz, Leibert, Fraser, Game, Halliburton, all of them in that train. Leibert a little bit lackadaisical through turn number 7, turn number 8 even, to get himself back going. He'll be under the pressure of Bill Fraser now on this run down in. Get out the stopwatch. The draft train's coming.
Yeah, oh, we got contact towards the rear of the field. We have a couple of drivers off. That's Mike McCormick there, as well as Christian Kabanga. Just saw that one, and that is what you were talking about a moment ago, Jake, about the fact that some of these drivers, they will bunch up quite heavily into turn number 6 and 7. Part of that is because they want to get a good run down this long back straightaway, but now they head themselves up the hill for the first time, then severely back down the hill as we go on board the driver of Bill Fraser. Lap number 1 is in the books just like that.
It is, and Arian DeFreitas has taken control and got the lead of this race away from Norbert Solzer, the reigning champion. Then at the front, Leibert, a little look on teammate Sykes, part of the TT racing that they've got going on. That's not going to work. Sebastian Job all over the back of Solzer, but he knows that this corner here, turn number 3, it's not going to be the easiest place to make a move. Most drivers will be preferring to stay single file. The breakaway, though, is a top 15 here. Will Tuan Tran losing the back of Gavin Marston.
Yeah, and there's always going to be one, the driver who knows now they're going to have a very long and very lonely race. As there is a look as we work ourselves through the field to show you some of the battles that are going on. There are so many battles going on. We actually have a quick look on board with Stephen Wareham. He's right behind Mick Watson. That is for P23 on track, and behind as well, you see drivers going side by side. That is Casey Black and David McDonald, all the way down outside of your top 30 right now. So there is a lot of battling going on. The draft train is back on, though, as here is Norbert Solzer looking to try and see whether he can make the move. We have a look from our aerial coverage, because behind we've also got ourselves Amir Muslim going side by side with Brian Dewell. You've got yourself Kane Halliburton going side by side with Philippe Leibert as well. We turn our attention to this one down in towards 10A. Kane Halliburton in P number 7 stays behind Bill Fraser, stays ahead of Philippe Leibert.
Leibert had an absolute shocker coming out of turn number 8, and it's the same time he's done it. He comes down onto pit road. He is not happy with that vehicle. Is there any damage? Front wing and rear wing are both heavily hurt here, Will. So he's had a little bit of argy-bargy with someone on that last lap. Leibert's race is now a 2-stop, in my opinion.
Yeah, he will be hoping either for a safety car. You could see just how bad that car was under braking, to be honest. He was weaving from left to right, left to right. There's no way he'd be able to carry on until that one and only pit stop. He had to bring that car on towards pit road, but that's going to be a huge shock and a huge damage to his championship at the very first round of this new championship, of course, and that's the last thing you want to have happen, a disappointing result on round number 1. Showing you then some of the battles going on. Brian Dewell versus Diego Francisco. This is going on for the final position inside the top 10. You talk about the breakaway. It has spread out over this past lap to now 4 packs inside your top 15. You start off with Norbert Solzer, Arian De Freyte, Sebastian Jobe, Greg Zietz. They are your first pack. Then you've got Lionel Gamut, Bill Fraser, Kane Halliburton, and also Stephen Scholes. As here we all go then, side by side once again. De Freyte versus Solzer as they'll come down into the 10. And they almost think about going 3 wide for a moment. You've got Sebastian Jobe there in that battle as well. Arian De Freyte will be able to cover for the race lead. Bill Fraser, he was involved in the battle with Kane Halliburton. And Fraser, who manages to stay where he is again for another lap.
Yes, he does. Bill Fraser stays in position, but very poor racecraft, in my opinion, from Sebastian Jobe. He boxed himself in, heading towards 10.8 That's going to do him no favours. He's actually lost 0.7 of a second because of that, as Solzer goes down to the inside turn number 1. They hold each other up a little bit more. This just allows Arian De Freyte to break away. Now Greg Zietz wants a piece of the action for TT Racing. Down to the inside of 3. It's never going to work. He's pinched on the inside. He stays behind.
Yes, as Greg Zietz said, does mean with all this fighting going on, that train has been brought back together. Zietz versus Gamut is now only half a second. We've got Barry Wrench turned around. That is down in turn number 2, and drivers are all swarming to try and avoid him. And Barry Wrench doing the perfect thing, by the way, just keeping that car absolutely stationary.
Well, as you say that, he's actually had a massive, massive incident with someone trying to rejoin back onto circuit, trying to find out who that driver was. It was a green liveried vehicle. It was Gareth Dorning, I believe it was, who he's managed to collect. And Dorning will be the most angry man in all of Atlanta.
Yeah, we just saw that one there. And Barry Wrench, he was doing the right thing by just staying. And what he actually could have done is actually reversed that car onto the kind of escape road and then tried to rejoin that way. That's a safer way of doing it at Road Atlanta. Because there are these alternate different parts of the racetrack that goes on. Norbert Solzer, by the way, is now back to the race lead. Arian De Freyte has to fall down into 2nd place. Although they did have themselves a half a second lead as they exited 10B, and that's because Sebastian Jobe has continued to scrap it out with Greg Zietz, and this is just allowing those top 2 to break away a little bit. It's an 8-car train out front. There you'll see Amir Mushlam. He is in the 9th place. He's the front driver in the 2nd train. Behind, you got Diego Francisco versus Andrew Pecoro as they'll come down through turn number 1, up into 2 once again, on board of the Iberia driver right now, as he can't do anything. What I've seen here today, Jay, is that passing is possible, but it's not as easy as we've seen sometimes we've come to Road Atlanta. It's not a case of, well, just put your car alongside and you've got it. You have got to work for the passes here.
You do, because the vehicle actually that you've got here doesn't have too much in the form of overspeed. So when you do go side by side, this is very much a momentum-based vehicle. Because you're trying to deal with that momentum, it means that it is very easy to lose a lot of time here going side by side in certain areas.
We've got an engine failure.
Engine failure, Will, who is it?
It's someone in this 2nd pack. I'm just trying to work out whom, because there's a lot of black acrid smoke right now.
It's Amir Mushlam.
It's Amir Mushlam, yeah. And we're going to get ourselves a second look at that. So his first race here in the championship for some time. Let's have a look on board and let's see if we can. It's going to be slowing down into turn number 6. There you see the black, thick, acrid smoke coming out the rear of his car. Amir Mushlam then is going to be classified as out of this event unless he can bring it on towards pit road and they can do some Audi-like repairs to it. That's a big shame for him actually, because he was running well in P9. As you've now, as a consequence of that, got these drivers stacked up 2 wide, 2 deep in P number 10, 11, 12, 13.
Yes, you do here, and you can see it's the likes of Precario trying to get past Marsden. Marsden's already made the move. Blocker down to the inside, trying to box in Tran into turn number 1. Traffic on pit exit as well, as Barrier Ends will now have to play devil's advocate and wait on the outside unless he decides to become a part of this and get himself involved. Blocker to the inside of Tran, in towards turn number 2. Little bit of argy-bargy, but Blocker will fall behind in that battle. They all sorted themselves out nicely. What we all like to see in the early goings, Will.
Yeah, just let you know, Michelin was able to get his car on towards pit road, so we'll give you an update on where he is later on. Sebastian Job still remains in 3rd place. It still technically really is a 4-horse battle out front. Arjen de Vries has taken over the race lead once again. Norbert Solzer in 2nd, Sebastian Job in 3rd, Greg Ziet in 4th. As you'll now see on the left-hand side of your screen, those drivers who's moved up and lost the most in this motor race. And it's interesting to know, in the top 10, we've only seen the highest mover of up 3 places, and that is Diego Francisco.
Yes, and it's been difficult at the front, but further back it's been more easy to do. 3 wide they're going to go, though. 2 wide it is going to be as Job tries to go for the power move down to the inside. He sends one down to the inside. He gives just enough room. He gets held up. De Vries gets held up as well, as trying to go through he goes. And now they're looking to go 2 wide, 2 deep, as Game wants a piece of the action as well, as it's going to be Greg Seats down to the inside, looking to take that position. Want to point out Benny Simonson will start at the back of the field, already up into P21, if not even further through this field, as he looks to try and get inside the top 20.
Yeah, so Simonson's having a fantastic run here today then, as you see him in the treble 2 machine. Now, there are some drivers out of this event. Let's run through them quickly. Rob Adams, Gareth Dorning, Pascal van der Hoek, Barry Arendt, Mike McCormick, Nick Zigley, Chris Malcolm, Craig Hobson, Andrew Leach, Casey Black, Amir Muslim are all out. Now, we will be honest, we're not going to be able to tell you exactly what happened with all of these drivers because there's been so much going on here today. There still is a lot going on. Tran just running right down at the S's. That's going to cost him a lot of momentum more than anything else, as he's now under a lot of pressure. Indeed, so he's also got quite a lot of rear wing damage. I'm wondering whether he's got an issue that may well be terminal. We'll get ourselves a replay of this for you, see if there's anything we can find out. I think he just had a horrible run through sector number 1 there, Jake.
Yeah, I think he did. His top speed is going to be heavily affected as he's now dropping back behind Brian Kelly, and Daniel Rodriguez will be next to chase down. This is a horrible, horrible lap for Tran, and he will surely have to come down, use the fast repair, and get himself back going again, side by side, though, through the field. Sebastian Job has lost a lot of time in this lap here in the battle for P4. He is down in the 2nd pack now with the likes of Lionel Game and Kane Halliburton and Stefan Stoyles. They're just sitting on the back. For Sebastian Job, he's been going for moves, but when you go for moves, you've got to make sure that you make them happen in this series. The moment they stop not working, you lose about 3.5 seconds, like he has done so far in this race.
Yeah, we're going to actually go back and have a look at Sebastian Job. There he is, because he has now fallen down to 5th place. And in fact, he is about 3/4 of a second behind Lionel Game, and it is a 3-horse race out front now. There's the thing that we're not that one, sorry, we'll show you this one properly now. There's the last lap time, 1:37.5 for Sebastian Job. That is almost 3 seconds slower than his fastest lap here today, so he shows just how bad that last lap was, as he had himself some issues on track. It does though mean that it's a 3-horse race out front. For the time being, of course, it will be worth noting here, Jake, that these drivers, they know they're not necessarily going to be at the front at the end. They now have a cushion when it comes to pit stops.
They do here, and these top 3 will be now playing the game of chicken amongst themselves. Who comes in first? The pit stop window, in theory, is open around about now at 1/3 distance. So to get that 2nd third in that 3rd third, you've got to make sure it works. But this is the most difficult pit road, I believe, in racing at the moment, because you head it right hand, then left hand, then right again, all braking, all single track, and the pit cone and the marker is literally just after the right hander. So you've got to be millimeter accurate, and it's so easy to hit the Armco or the pit retaining wall.
Yep, Justin Tipton ends his race by going off into the gravel. Arjen de Vries still at the front of this field, as we're now onto lap number 9 of 24 here. And Norbert Sulzer is still in 2nd place, Greg Ziet still in 3rd. The interesting thing is, though, Jay, gap between P3, P4 now up to 2.7 seconds.
Yeah, now it's going to be a case of drivers now trying to work together because Greg Seats did a 1:34.8 front of the train. Well, the worst car in that train did a 1:35.2. Solza had the lead last time by. It was only a 1:35.6 from Lionel Gamay, so 0.4 of a second slower over a lap. I don't know what maths you need to do, but any maths will tell you that's not going to be enough to catch anybody.
It's not, and it does seem to me that Gamay in that second pack now are legitimately falling back. Bill Fraser in 9th place has lost himself 3 places since the end of lap number 1. He's now involved in a battle with Brian Duell for 8th place on track, but these two drivers are having a 2-horse race. Andrew Pecore versus Gavin Marsden behind. That is for P11 and 12. Now, Philippe Leber, of course, came on towards pit road at the end of lap number 2. He's made himself his first pit stop of the day. And, well, that is put him down in P number 22 for the time being, but we still know he'll have to take fuel. So him and Simonson now are 2 drivers who we're going to have to look for to see who can charge the most in the second part of this event. Simonson has worked himself past another pack of cars. He's into P number 19 now. It's just ahead. We've got ourselves Daniel Rodriguez going side by side with Brian Kelly. This is for the 17th place on track. You see they're squirting around. Brian Kelly in the number 225 machine on the exit of 10th into 11. You see a different line being taken by him there to just try and diamond off this corner perfectly, give himself momentum in towards turn number 1, and it's actually gonna maybe work out for him, although he does the same thing as Sebastian Job did earlier on, boxes himself into a lane there, Jake.
Yes, he does, and he didn't really have enough maneuverability to go hard to the inside because that would cost his momentum. Going to the outside really was his only option in that situation because there was free track to use. But of course, being on that outside, he was never going to be able to make that move. If I was driving in that situation, I would let off the gas, hope to get a better exit, and maybe have a run into 3. As you can see, he's all over the back in 6, but he's so close to the back of Rodriguez's Kelly that he has to back out of it, allows Mick Watson back into the battle.
Ahead, you've got yourselves the ongoing battle with Andrew Pecore and Gavin Marsden, having a look now from the rear of Andrew Pecore, as Marsden 0.2 of a second back. Last lap times, Marsden was a little bit slower, but he does now have the momentum as they work themselves down this long back straightaway towards turn 10A, 10B once again. Number 168 machine on the inside, number 118 machine sweeps himself past on the outside, and that now means he can take whatever lane he wants into the corner, getting yourself clear. It's a bit like the Oxford-Cambridge boat race. If you can do that, makes your life a whole lot easier. As ahead, Sebastian Job is on pit road here.
Yeah, first to the stoppers, then Sebastian Job on lap 10 to start lap 11. He was losing time. It's a good decision from him, but he's got to be careful about where he comes out. If he can do great lap times on his own, he'll be very grateful. If he's 2 seconds away from a pack of cars, that's even better because he will get the draft. He will try and jump in. No tyres, just fuel. Does he short fuel and try and risk running out towards the end?
I would say if you're going to pit this early, you can't risk it for the simple fact you don't know where you're going to be in this second stim. It is a 12.7 second stop, so it's about average as he comes out of pit road then. Back onto track he will come, and where does he come back out onto track? Well, there is a couple of cars ahead of him, but they're about 3 seconds up the road. There is a couple of drivers behind him, but they are about 1.5 seconds behind. We've got ourselves Philippe Leber on pit road for the second time here today. This is his scheduled pit stop now, after he had to come on towards pit road for an unscheduled stop earlier on. Neil Kemp, 10.8 seconds. A very quick stop by him as he's out of pit road. And, oh my word, Sebastian Attalard then reversing when he should be going forward out of pit road, Jake.
Yes, Bahatin Attalard just having another horrible moment after his big incident on lap 1. He does have to be careful about things like that if he is to continue. Looking at the leaders, will anyone jump? Will anyone bite? No, they will not, so they will stay out and they will continue on their merry way in that train of 3, looking to see if anyone is going to also follow in. And the answer really here has been no, Will. They prefer to stay out longer here, but as I say that, 2 cars come in, Gavin Marsden and the other one of Diogo Francisco, as they all look to try and hit the brakes.
Yep, so we go on board with the driver of Gavin Marsden there. Diego Francisco just ahead of him on pit road. It's going to be a race between these two drivers then, as they're only separated by about 8 tenths of a second in terms of pit road itself. Marsden into his box is actually only a stall behind where Diego is going to be, so we'll get a very good indication of who's going to be. Oh, Marsden should get out first. He will get out first there. So a slightly shorter stop by him over the one of the number 48 machine of Francisco. He will be back onto track first. We've got John Morgan. That's weird. So that's not him. Conor Van Ram's on pit road. That's what we're looking for. Conor Van Ram is making himself a pit stop, as well as the driver as David McDonald. But McDonald's sluggish stop there, 14.3, but he is now back out on track. Ariane De Frita, Norbert Sulzer still leading the way. Greg Zeet is still with them. It is still a 3-horse race, but there, the 4.4 seconds back is the driver of Lionel Gamma. He's got Kane Halliburton now for company, as well as Stephen Stoyles. And for these two sets of drivers in this pack, they have now got to be thinking, we need to work together if we're going to keep the light of Sebastian Job behind us after this pit stop. And Stephen Stoyles there did look as though he was going to come on towards pit road, decided against it at the very last second.
Yes, he did. He's trying to throw the dummy here and try and commit other people to thinking about going down onto pit road. Kane Halliburton, Lionel Gamay. He knows that he needs to start thinking about what is his best modus operandus here, because he won't be understanding, unless he's got his pit crew in his ear, he won't be understanding what sort of lap time Sebastian Job will be doing, just because of how far back Sebastian Job is in this field right now. He's currently P24 as things stand. In fact, he'll gain quite a few positions because of the fact that so many people have come down in to pit road. He's in fact P19 and less as things stand right now, Will, because he's now got to get past Roman Kajka, who is about a second slower. Job's doing 34.9s here on this race. Gamay's only doing 35.4s. He's got half a second a lap, and if Gamay comes in and he's not got enough fuel, I believe that Job is going to get the jump.
It's going to be close as you see more drivers then coming out of pit road. Brian Kelly, Duran have just made their service. We are, of course, now past the halfway point of this event. So we should be expecting to see Norbert Sulzer, Ariane De Frita, Greg Zeet on pit road. If not this lap, within the next 2 to 3 laps. It is a slightly wide pit window here because of the fact that you've got some long straightaways where you can save fuel if you need to. Sulzer does, however, just get past. I'm wondering whether that was going to be specifically in terms of bringing drivers on towards pit road. It wasn't. So they all stay out and do a 14th tour around this racetrack. Kane Halliburton does, however, come on towards pit road, as does his pack. So Halliburton, Garrett, Stoyles, all on pit road at the same time, Jake.
Someone shout sheep, because they all followed him very, very easily. And well, there's going to be a little bit of miscommunication with the car coming out. That's Chris Malcolm and his teammate there, I do believe, in Halliburton. They're both getting very close together. Who hits the box first? Well, it was Halliburton and Stoyles who was there very quickly. Gamay had to wait a little bit longer. I think Gamay's going to lose out here, Will.
He also overshot his pit stall as well, so that is going to be an important factor. Halliburton, oh, and also Gamay's taking tyres by the looks of it, so a double whammy for him. Halliburton comes out, but Stoyles will be just ahead of him as they come out of pit road. So Stoyles is the driver who makes the jump there, but Lionel Gamay did look as though he was taking tyres for some strange reason. He does come out 3rd place in that Gagler car, so he doesn't lose too much time. He comes out of a 12.7 second stop when all is said and done. But those three, it's all changed then. But worth noting that Gamay has lost the draft to Halliburton and Stoyles, so he's going to be hoping that those two drivers start battling very quickly to enable him to get back into the picture. On board with Norbert Sulzer, so work themselves through 10A and 10B. Up the hill they come, and let's see what it looks as though that Sulzer's angling his car to the right-hand side. P1 is in, P2 is in. Greg Zeet from P number 3 going to join him as well. Sulzer did not, though, look comfortable coming on towards pit road. He was babying that car on towards the lane as they all come in now to make their service. I think Ariane De Frita gained about half a second coming on pit road there, Jake.
I think he did, and he did a very good job of working his way down to pit road. Solza a little bit tentative, maybe wasn't comfortable with the Road Atlanta pit road. All of them are going to look to hit their boxes. The Freighter will have the advantage. Seats is going to be there, sitting in the popcorn seat in position number 3. Sebastian Job got the jump on all of his group the last time they all headed down onto the box, and this is about as late as you can possibly dare to go on the fuel. The Freighter is away. Seitz has taken less fuel, though, I believe, in this situation because he was so far back, but it's a lot more fuel for Solza, and he's completely lost the draft.
Yeah, Solza's got to be careful because he may actually end up losing a position to Sebastian Job as the two almost there going side by side into turn number 2. That was the thing I was thinking when I saw that pit stop. It's not now just the top 2 lost there for Norbert Solza. He's got to be careful because he may well lose podium positions as well. We did see the remainder of your pack, by the way, come on towards pit road as well. We'll give you an update on the field in 1 moment's time. It's been a wacky day here at Road Atlanta already. We've got ourselves Lionel Gamay there. He's going slowly for some reason. I'm just wondering, oh, he's just coming out of pit road. That's the reason why. But let's go back to Sebastian Job. Let's ride on board with him as he exits turn number 7 and works himself down this long back straightaway again. They can see the race leader here, and that's the thing, Jake. If they can see the race leader, they know these two are going to start fighting eventually, and this now means that the Freighter and Zeitz will probably have to wait until, I would say, lap number 23 before they can really start going at it. Otherwise, it'll be a 4-horse race again.
Well, the issue for Greg Seitz is that he's going to have to try and save fuel in this situation, but the problem he's got here, Will, is he's a little bit too far back, actually, from De Freighter to do that really effectively. The problem that Greg Seitz is going to have is the fact that he has now got to try and close down that gap to be able to save fuel effectively. The fact that he's having to put full throttle to close down Arjen De Freighter in the draft, 0.7 of a second, is not very comfortable. He wants that to be 0.3 if it's possible.
Well, Sebastian Job got the position, lost position again on the exit of turn number 11. So it's back to the drawing board for him as he runs himself in P number 4. There are your top 8 then, along the bottom of your screen. Arjen De Freighter leads away from Greg Zeitz. Norbert Solza in 3rd place. Sebastian Job in 4th. Kane Halliburton in 5th. Stephen Stiles, Gavin Margin and Bill Fraser round out your top 8. We're stepping aside for 1 minute here, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to take you RaceSpotTV side by side, but we'll be back after this one very brief message.
Introducing a whole new form of racing to the best online racing simulation in the world. This is dirt racing on iRacing.com. Race online at some of America's most legendary dirt tracks, including Eldora and Williams Grove. iRacing is the premier online racing game featuring NASCAR, IndyCar, sports cars, and now World of Outlaws, the leading sanctioning body for dirt racing. iRacing is easy to use and features a centralized ranking system to make sure you have the best experience at any skill level. With a massive inventory of high-precision laser scan tracks and cars with an unmatched dedication to quality and detail, iRacing gives you the most authentic online racing experience available. Thanks to iRacing's dynamic track system, developed specifically for dirt racing, tracks change over the course of a race, just like your favorite dirt track on a Friday or Saturday night. From a slick racing groove all the way up to the cushion, iRacing's dirt tracks deliver non-stop racing action. Partnered with the World of Outlaws, iRacing is your source for the most authentic dirt racing experience available, featuring 4 brand new tracks and 11 new cars, including street stocks, Legends cars, late models, NASCAR trucks, winged and non-winged sprint cars, with much more on the way. Join the Dirt Revolution on iRacing.com and start slinging mud today.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Got ourselves 7.5 laps to go here. Arjen De Freighter still leads away. The gap we want to pay attention to, though, Jake, is this one P2 versus P3. Last time by Sebastian Job was 8/100ths of a second faster. That's nowhere near enough, however, to really close up to your race lead at this stage, unless the top 2 really start going at it.
3.5 seconds in about 7 laps is not ideal for Sebastian Job, but he knows that he's just got to claw that gap back down at about a rate of 0.4 of a second a lap. If it's not going to happen, it's not going to work very well. He has the ability to work with Solza though, and the pair of them won't be in cooperation in terms of the way that they're talking to each other on the radios. They'll be going, come on, I want to get past so that I can get you forward. Worth checking the gap again, this time between Solza and Sights here. Sights will be looking to try and close that gap down to the driver of Iron Defrater. That's 0.4 of a second. Now though, in the battle for the race lead, that's 4 seconds as well. That's only a 0.2 decrease, so it's not going to be enough for them to catch. It's going to be a battle for third for Solza and Job.
For the time being, at least. Bill Fraser, Gavin Marston, they're batting it out for P at number 7. Lionel Gamet versus Christian Kabanga, P23-24, as they work themselves through the trees as they'll come down into the 10s. And the 217 machine of Lionel Gamet will just get himself the advantage as they work themselves off the corner. He is up a position. Now let's check in with some of the drivers who've had some bad luck here today. Actually, we've got Andrew Leach on pit road. That's an unscheduled pit stop by him. We'll talk about that one hopefully in a moment's time if we find out any information. But Philippe Leber, of course, he was in the waters. He had to come on towards pit road at the end of lap number 2. His last lap was a 135.264, only a 10.5 seconds slower than his fastest lap of the motor race. He's now up into P number 17. Driver that is worth trying to find where he is the driver Benny Simonson.
He's out.
And he's out of this event. So all of a sudden, we've lost him there. And that's a shame, Jake, because he was charging earlier.
Yeah, he was, and he was doing a really good job. Was actually looking to try and threaten the likes of Leber, threaten the likes of, say, Enzo Cantor, who himself has had an absolutely shocking day also, as Enzo Cantor finds himself down in P28. How often do you say Enzo Cantor P28, Will? It's very, very rare that you see him so low down in the field.
I can completely concur with that. Enzo Cantor, if nothing else, generally is Mr. Reliability and Consistency. As we're just checking in at Andrew Pecori, Mick Watson and Brian Kelly, as well as behind, we've got ourselves Leeway Coppage and Stephen Wareham. They are going side by side in towards the 10s as we go on board with the driver of Stephen Wareham, not able to do anything into the 10s. And now this field spread out, we are going to see more passing in towards turn number 10, mainly because of the fact that these drivers are going at it one at a time rather than being in these big packs. We've got Mick Watson now alongside the driver of Brian Kelly in towards turn number 2, and turn around then is the driver of Brian Kelly, and that's often what happens if you get two drivers running in close proximity in towards that second corner. Something's got to give, and in this case nothing did, and that meant that Brian Kelly in that old orange Arrows car ends up being the big losers. A replay's up. You can't give any blame to Brian Kelly on that one at all. He was holding his line. Driver to his right-hand side, pretty, I wouldn't say blatantly, but pretty obviously came up into what should have been his racing lane.
Yes, he was trying to be a bit greedy there and get as much as he could to go into that right-hander of turn number 2 on circuit, Will, and he just took a little bit too much out of it. It looks very much worse than it was in terms of an incident. You'd find that on another day, if it was a little bit more shallower, that you could get away with a move like that. Worth talking about also, though, in the battle for the race lead, the Freighter has got back through on the driver of Greg Sights. They're now trying to make sure here in this battle, Will, that they are taking Job and Solza out of the equation here. 3.3 seconds now the gap. If it gets down to 1 in the last 5 laps, well, then we know that Solza and Job have a chance. I don't think they do, because Job is looking into 2.
Gavin Marsden is back on pit road from P number 12.
Short Phil?
Either that or you got some damage.
Maybe so. It's worth taking a look at that one. We'll see, was there any
Short
damage
fill
on the vehicle? It should be a short fill because there's nothing on the vehicle.
Yeah, it's definitely a short fill for him. So he's coming in to make a second pit stop, and that's going to be a huge shame because that's going to drop him outside of your top 15. Leroy Coppage as well is coming on towards pit road. So we often say first round of a championship, we know drivers sometimes have the jitters, don't get the right fuel in, but we've had about 3 or 4 of these drivers now having short filled in this event, and that's strange because these guys normally know what they're doing in terms of the fuel.
Yes, but the fuel may be a little bit different here today, Will, because the track surface is so hot and the conditions here are so hot. I know you've actually had to step away for a drink break. That's how hot it's been here. So the issue that drivers are going to have, because this track is a little bit hotter, the cars are going slower and they're using more power through the hotter air. It means that the engines are working at a higher rate and more fuel is being used. That is what is playing into the minds of certain drivers here who are trying to get that short field strategy to work, but they are coming up very, very short.
Yeah, same thing actually happened at Le Mans. Actually, more than anything, it wasn't just the rate they were using fuel, but sometimes it's the amount of fuel you can actually get in, because fuel does expand, of course, in hotter conditions. Stephen Stoyles then through the final corner. He's got a good run over Bill Fraser, but just backs out of it. And this is now these little mind games that drivers play in the last couple of laps, knowing the fact that they quite often would rather be the one who's second in line compared to the one first in line coming into that final lap. As well, I would say that Stoyles did have a good run, just completely backed out of it.
Yeah, he had to in that situation. He was too close and wanted maybe a little bit more safety in that matter in case anything should happen to the driver of Bill Fraser, God forbid, in this situation. But, you know, actually something that we've been looking at here is the fact that Kane Halliburton has completely waltzed away here from Stephen Stoyles. Stoyles has really struggled on this second stint. Maybe he's not happy with the vehicle under light fuel conditions.
Yeah, as we've just been having a look there at a couple of battles going on a little bit further down your field. We've got one here that we're showing to you now, Neil Kemp, running himself in P number 17, and he's got the driver of Stephen Wareham just ahead of him. But yeah, you are completely right in terms of Kane Halliburton. He is now the driver literally running in no man's land. Is Job again going side by side with Zolter, doesn't work into the 10s. But there is the driver of Kane Halliburton on your screen right now, and there's the gap between himself and Stephen Stoyles, and also the last couple of laps there as well. He gained 1.6 seconds on lap number 19. I mean, you don't gain 1.6 seconds unless a driver makes a big mistake, and Stoyles evidently did make a big mistake. It is worth noting, though, he is now ahead of Bill Fraser as we have a look from the rear of him, because Fraser might be looking to get that move back in towards turn number 1, and no, he doesn't do so.
No, he's just not able to make that happen through 1. Maybe a good run out of 2 with the momentum gives him an opportunity. Small little block thrown then from the driver of Stoyles as he took a slightly wider line there to stop the driver of what was going to be Fraser going to the inside. Now through the SS section that you hit almost flat here through this section, down the hill, up the hill. Turn number 6, arguably the most difficult one on this circuit as you try and negotiate with the curves, and Fraser will stay behind for the moment. That's the thing, Will. It's a lot about momentum. This is pretty much one of the basic vehicles that you have to get right to deal with Formula racing here, and the fact that you have to program your move and time your move in this series is so crucial to a driver's development.
Fraser does get a very good run, though, out of turn number 7. There you can see immediately he's pulling alongside that driver of Stephen Stoyles as they'll come side by side then down the hill. Number 141 machine of Bill Fraser versus the 160 machine of Stephen Stoyles, coming towards the 10s, and the inside line still belongs, though, to Stephen Stoyles as well. Bill Fraser tries to break in his own line, not able to do so. He had to hold the outside line. He was just about able to put across, but Fraser wasn't going to risk that one for a chocolate biscuit. He stayed where he is, down in P number 7. 2 laps to go here in this motor race, and well, now De Freitas and Zeet can start battling with each other, although they have traffic ahead of them. That is a number 16 machine of L. Leroy Coppage, who is going to go down a lap to these two, and there is no official, you know, Formula 1 like blue flag rules in operation here, Jake, but Coppage is going to be thinking, I might just want to move out of the way, and in fact, I think that's what he's doing.
Yeah, and he does do that very gentlemanlike, so hats off to L. Leroy Coppage. Greg Sykes has been staying behind the last couple of laps I've looked here, Will. He's been in a situation where he's thought, I've got an opportunity to make this move, but I want track position. Because of this, he is now further back in this lap, about half a second. He's now got to go full throttle on this lap to really get onto the back of Arjen De Freitas, who will be hoping desperately that he can get away in this situation. And he's in catch-22 because he's too close to break away. He's too far to let Sykes back pass. This is a horrible situation for De de Freitas, and he knows he's just got to run from here and hope he will not be caught in this final lap in a little bit.
Yeah, as behind there is Job versus Sulzer once again, and behind that even still, you've got yourself Fraser versus Doyles. That one's going to go on to the final lap as well. But here is the driver of Arjen de Freitas, who will take the white flag. One more lap to go here at Road Atlanta as the drivers come down into one for the final time here today. Well, for Greg Zietz, it's the waiting game. Get as close as you can through the downhill S's section, then just make sure you get as good a momentum as you can out of turn number 7. Right on board with Greg Zietz right now, and well, he is still there close enough. Daniel Rodriguez, by the way, going side by side for a brief moment with Diego Francisco on the final lap. Nothing yet changing, though, between those two drivers. We've got ourselves 4 or 5 different battles to talk about on this final lap. This is one of them. You see in the background, that is the second one. That is for the final step on the podium between Norbert Sulzer and Sebastian Job. Then, of course, you've got your one going on with Bill Fraser and Steven Stolz as well. Back, though, to the race lead, and here is Greg Zietz. We go on board of him now because it's going to be the run down into the 10s on this final lap of the motor race. The question's going to be, how hard will Arjen de Freitas block? Will he make Zietz go around the long way around? Of course he's going to. He's going to make him turn to the right here, but Zietz has come with a huge head of steam. He will actually be clear before they even get close to the braking zone. De Freitas going to go back down to the inside then. Too wide into 10 for the final time, and de Freitas going to try and work it on the outside line. We could well have ourselves a photo finish. No, we're not, because Arjen de Freitas is going to drive it around the outside, and he will win the first round of the championship. It's Arjen de Freitas who wins out from Greg Zietz. Norbert Sulzer will just, I think, get ahead of Sebastian Job. We'll look at the results for the replay of that one. Kane Halliburton in 5th place. Steven Stolz, it will get the jump over Bill Fraser on the final lap of their motor race, and behind we have got a couple of other little battles going on. We've got a driver out of fuel, that is Daniel Rodriguez. The good thing for him is, though, now he's got himself over this hill, he can literally just put the clutch in and go to the line and get it complete. Arjen de Freitas wins the motor race. Want to show you what happened with Sebastian Job into the final corner. We're on board of him, and indeed, yeah, Norbert Sulzer does end up winning. Sebastian Job gave it his all, wasn't able to do anything. We go back and you'll see they were side by side heading themselves down into turn number 10, but Job had to go the long way around. Didn't quite work out for him, and there is Arjen de Freitas. Just gets a fantastic run out of turn number 10, and he's going to be able to give himself the race victory, actually by a bit more of a margin than we were thinking. I was wondering for a moment whether we were going to get ourselves a photo finish. We didn't in the end, but it was very close racing by a number of drivers here this evening. Fantastic racing overall, Jay, and you have to say we like clean racing. For the most part, it was very clean racing as well.
It was very clean racing, and it was very good racing that we've seen here today. And you have to say, hats off to Arjen de Freitas. He was in the wrong position going into that final lap. He knew that too early Greg Zietz made the move. If he held it by just a mile an hour down that straight, he knew that he would have had the jump and could have moved to the inside to block that move to go in. As things stood, de Freitas used the advantage of a shallower exit of turn 10B, Will, because it is an off-camber corner. He uses the less shallower part of the off-camber to make his way around the outside. Better traction, better move. Arjen de Freitas, the reigning champion, the experience coming up trumps.
Well, let's have a look at your final race results then from round number 1 of the 10th season of the Skip Barber 2K World Cup. Arjen de Freitas wins by just under a third of a second over Greg Zietz here this evening. 3rd place, that goes to Norbert Sulzer, involved in that battle with Sebastian Job to the line. Sulzer comes up the beneficiary. Sebastian Job has to settle for 4th. Kane Halliburton in 5th place. Steven Stolz in 6th. Bill Fraser 7th. Brian Dewell in 8th. Ari Harrow in 9th. And Diego Francisco rounds out your top 10. Fastest lap of the day, well, that was set by Sebastian Job on lap number 5. But it shows the fastest lap doesn't guarantee you even a podium in this series. More results coming up on your screen. Philippe Leber, 2 stops he had to make today, was still able to finish inside the top 15. He comes home in 12th place. Then you got some of the names that we're used to seeing. Adam Blocker 13th. You got yourself Neil Kemp down in P number 16. Cole Dronke 17th. He won't be too happy with that. Christian Kabanga rounds out your top 20. More results coming up on your screen. Trans Round, of course, we saw him have that incident where he cut down part of the S's, lost himself a lot of time, positions, and momentum all at once. Enzo Cantor all the way down in P number 24 here today. And then we've got Sebastian Attala, of course. We saw him earlier on with some issues to his engine. Elroy Coppage, we saw him getting put a lap down, lap before the white flag came out. And there's a remainder of the results there for you. Some big names in terms of retiree list for the drivers a lap down. Barry Renz, Rob Adams, for example. Colin Van Ram out of this event. Lon McGammett out of this event. Benny Simonson started from the rear of the field, worked himself up into the top 20, then had an incident, fell back down to P41 overall. Amir Mushlan, of course, issues for him here today after what had been a good start. And Michael Flafdazen, he is our last driver in P number 45. It has been a crazy run here today in the Skip Barber 2K World Cup. We are going to catch our breath for just one brief moment, but when we come back, we're going to talk to the winner of the first round of the championship. That is Arian De Frita. We'll also chat with the driver who came home in second place, Greg Zietz. You're watching RaceSpotTV. You're watching iRacing Live. You're watching the 10th season of the Skip Barber 2K World Cup.
Watch Ernie, go, go, go. All right, all right, all right, all right. Watch him. Jam it. Get ready. Dude, more heads up in that. Jeez.
Right on the back wing. Can he make it happen?
Yeah! Push like hell. We gotta stay in front of these guys.
Both drivers on the push to pass. Contact in the pit lane.
All right, 60. Let that eagle fly. What do I do? What happened? Push here. Push hard. Let's go get this guy. Car outside. Through behind you. Control. Clear outside. Good job. Just spun behind you. I don't know if you got him or not.
He got out of it so hard. Look at these guys are all over the bag.
Full throttle.
IndyCar.
He hit an outlap.
What's next?
Come and get the checkers, big boy. Oh, baby, that was good. He hit me. Inside, inside, outside, inside, outside.
2017 Verizon IndyCar Series. See what's next.
Welcome to post-race coverage then from the first round of the 10th season of the Skip Barber 2K World Cup here on RaceSpotTV and on iRacing Live. Well, Jake, before we go any further, we've got to say, start of this motor race was exciting. I was thinking that there was a big risk for a safety car. There wasn't actually a safety car. There wasn't really, actually, we have to be honest, much drama at all on that first lap of the motor race. It was, I wouldn't say serene, I would say more very good heads-up driving by almost everyone in the field. I have to say almost because there will be someone who will complain otherwise.
Yes, there may be here in this situation, but you have to feel that this is drummed in due to the fact that they've got some fantastic stewards behind the scenes who are very good at penalising those who are at fault for incidents here and there, and it is the responsibility of the drivers to drive cleanly and drive effectively and showcase just how good their talents can be. They've done everybody proud here in the opening few laps, and in fact throughout the race, because I didn't really see one major incident that was really questionable throughout the racing.
Yeah, here's a look then at the start once again from our aerial coverage brought to you by ATVO, the official graphics engine of RaceSpotTV. And you see, the field does fan in quite heavily into that first corner, but then after that, it's not all too bad at all. The drivers able to work themselves up the hill without any real issues at all, and then back down it they come. They were 3-4 wide. We did have an incident at the rear of the field just away from the screen that was showing you there. But apart from that, No real issues at all. The field doing a good job of getting fanned out very early on. We are stood by, though, with your race winner. That is the driver of Arjen de Freitas. He is stood by with Jake Sperry.
Arjen de Freitas, everything coming at roses. A first championship last season, and well, the perfect start to the perfect defence. Early stages, yourself and Norbert having that big battle. Train of 4, train of 8, train of 4, train of 5, train of 3. It just seemed to keep chopping and changing, but you were always up there inside the top 2 for the majority of the race.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah, first, to clarify a bit, Norbert joined PSR today or this week, so great to have him. And we started working together a lot, and yeah, he's so fast, so he managed to get pole, and on his first time in the 2K, I think. That's insane. But yeah, after that we started working together, tried to get a gap. We had a gap for a short amount of time, then they got back to us again, and then yeah, in the pit stop it suddenly all changed. I think Sepp, I don't know what happened to him, he suddenly lost us, and then he pitted early, I think, and yeah, I think Norbert had a problem with the pit stops. He didn't stop fueling, and I had the same problem, but apparently mine was still quicker, so pretty happy with it. And then in the end, the fight with Greg, I knew he was gonna manage it and try to get me on the last lap on the straight. So defending into the chicane, he almost cut me off. It was a bit tricky, but in the end I had a better run out of it, so managed it to the finish line.
Of course, you have the target on your back for the season. Of course, Positive Sim Racing is now probably more angled as your team now more than anyone else's, it seems, in the early goings. For yourself, now trying to get that stable, the likes of drivers of Paul Malocus, the likes of Brian Doyle, the likes of, say, Norbert Solzer, who's recently joined. How important is it getting that practice in? How important is it having a team core that really gets you prepared for racing a series as intense as this one?
Yeah, it's pretty important, but to be honest, because of your blog, I started F1 practice this week, so we'll see where that goes. So I only practiced today.
Oh, wow. Okay, and of course, you know, next time out, you've got a 2-week break before you get yourself back going in the vehicle again. You know, you're heading into a part of a season where you're looking for consistency in the very early goings. You have drop weeks to go in. Do you feel that with the level of racing that you saw today, that your consistency value and your ability to finish racing is going to be quite high?
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, it's just the start of the season and anything can happen. Last season I got off of onto a jumpy start. It wasn't too good, but in the end it all came together, and now I seem to have still the consistency I need, so yeah, just running in the top 2, 3 and might have win you the championship again.
Well, that would be fantastic to see, and of course with the race victory, shout out sponsors. Who gets it done for Arjen de Freitas?
Obviously my team, PSR, Positive Sim Racing. We're doing a great job again, and we did great in Le Mans. Didn't mean much in the end, but yeah, shit happens. Oh shit, I couldn't say that. I did it again. And obviously a big thank you to you, Jake, for calling me out on your blog. It was awesome. And obviously Philippe and RaceSpot and everything I normally thank.
Well, not to worry at all. We will apologise for the industrial language that we've heard, but Arjen de Freitas, naturally excited after a race victory there. Thank you for joining us. Will, who are you stood by with?
Stood by even with the guy who came home in second place. That is the number 74 machine of Greg Zeek. Started P number 4 here today, Greg. Finished P number 2. Just couldn't get the race victory in the end.
Yeah, no, it was basically my strategy was to kind of hang on to those guys. I knew they were super fast, and early on I had the they kind of lost some speed, and so I had to decide to go side by side with Sebastian, and that actually fortunately worked out because I don't know what happened after that, but he seemed to drop back. Maybe he got in some more battles, but then it was a three horse race after that, and again I knew just kind of hanging with those guys they'd be fast, and I didn't want the guys behind us to close, so just tried to play it smart, and then got to my pit stop, and that's been one of my serious weaknesses in the past, and I think I finally kind of starting to wrangle that one so that I'm actually doing pretty well in my pit stops, and in this case it helped me get out behind Arjen and chase him around to the end.
You did chase him, couldn't get there. Phillip Island in 2 weeks' time, from one heavy draft track to an even heavier draft track. Having a good start at the start of the season, do you think that's going to put you in good stead heading over to the land down under?
Yeah, I think so. I hope so. You know, hopefully more of our team will show up. Unfortunately, only Philippe was able to make it today. So it's always fun to kind of race with more of the team and work together and strategize and stuff. And so I expect Phillip Island hopefully will be a few more people turn out so we can push those PSR guys a little harder.
Well, who do you want to give a shout out to then from your TT Racing team?
Yeah, obviously my whole team, you know, we worked together and we had a lot of fun. Johnny and I did the 24 hours. Like Arjen said, that didn't work out so well, unfortunately, but we had good pace, and I'll have to say enough to beat PSR. And obviously you guys in the booth are always fantastic.
Well, that's Greg Zietz there coming home in second place here today. Well, heading ourselves forward 2 weeks, Jake. Phillip Island, if we talk about draft tracks, you know, you talk about Sonoma being a very close race. You talk about here often being a very close race. Phillip Island is a completely different animal, especially as the race on that final lap doesn't really start until you get to Lukey Heights.
No, it doesn't. It's a beautiful circuit, Phillip Island. Arguably has the highest average top speed of any circuit around the world. Just so how much is it being completely brilliant in terms of a Skip Barber. It is going to be an all-out brawl for drivers trying to deal with off-camber corners, a lot of stop-start, but also a lot of mid-speed cornering that is really going to be beneficial throughout the rest of the race. I can't wait for 2 weeks' time.
Yeah, indeed. So don't forget, of course, ladies and gentlemen, tomorrow night you can join Rachel and the gang for Monday Night Skippies. Round out what has been an amazing weekend's worth of racing with Monday Night Skippies in support of Shelter here on RaceSpotTV. That, however, is all we've got time for here tonight. Thank you so much to everyone who's been a part of our coverage, not just in this race, but also on RaceSpot Race Day, also in the 6th round of the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series, the 1st round of the VLN Series, as well as the iRacing Grand Prix Series earlier on today. Yeah, there may have been a 24-hour race going on, but we've got close to 24 hours worth of coverage, so it seemed, over the course of this weekend. Will Vincent, Jake Sperry, we'll talk to you all next time. Goodbye.